Hello everyone and welcome back to Best of the Month, where a range of creators talk about the favourite board game to hit their table. It doesn't need to be a brand new game, but for me, this month it has been in the place of Wormholes. Now this is, and the box is the right way up, it is a pick up and delivery game where you are creating these routes of wormholes across the board. Now, what makes it really fun and interesting is that you can use other people's wormholes when you're sort of trying to build this route across the galaxy, but they're going to get points for you using their routes, which means there's nice little interesting bits where it's like, oh, I'm going to be delivering a load of passengers. I'm going to give you a load of points for this, but I think it's worth it for me. And it all revolves around, you get these cards, these sort of tickets, and these are the people, the passengers that you've got to deliver. And you're like, oh right, so I'm at the space station and I need to deliver this to this sort of weird, sort of almost fluffy looking planet, and I've got to get the other side of the sort of system. Okay, well, I'll just discard those because I'm going to draw some new passengers from this planet that I'm next to. You can forget about that person, they'll float off into space and eventually be back at the space station. It's all good. And then you've picked these up and you're like, now that one's a lot closer. So if I drop a wormhole here, I'm going to plot my route across using very little movement on a turn because you've got a lot of free actions, which includes using wormholes. You're going to get across, plop another wormhole down, hopefully deliver those passengers, and then boing, jump back across. And you can create sort of linked up ones where it's sort of, you start here and you jump here and then you move one, that's only a one cost, and then jump across, still free, you've still got 2 movement on your turn. And it really ramps up because at the start of the game you've got sort of very little, everyone's splurging out from the space station in different directions, dropping wormholes, and then before long there's so many wormholes on the board, you're just bouncing around and you can deliver your full hand of 4 people potentially or relatively easily at the very end of the game on that one, in one turn. You can deliver all of those people. In fact, if you play your cards right, you can actually deliver above your hand limit because you can deliver cards, pick some more up, and then maybe even deliver them if the wormholes are dotted around kindly. But it's not just kindly, because you hopefully have crafted a really good network. It's been the game where I played it the first time and I was instantly like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. It's easy to teach. It's got some fun bits where, like a proton cannon that will fire you across the system, but mostly it's just very easy to play, really easy to teach. You've not got sort of too much boggling you, but plotting your route about and through all these wormholes. That's where the game really is, hence the name Wormholes. Just really enjoyed it. That first time I got it to the table, I was like, I need to play it again, and I played it again the next day. And, well, certainly in that second game, everyone really loved it. In the first one, not everyone was a fan of pick up and deliver, so, you know, it's very much a pick up and deliver game, but it's a really strong one. Now, if you want to hear more about it, more in depth of how it plays and more in depth on my thoughts and maybe some problems with it, well, I'm going to be doing a full review on the channel, so keep an eye out for that one in the next week or so. And, well, let's jump on to the next creator, who has picked a game that I'm very jealous about, because Flamecraft looks pretty nice.
Hello and welcome to Don't Be Bored. I'm Adam from Board at Home, and it's a pleasure once again to be here. So, my game of the month for November is Flamecraft. This is a game all about recruiting dragons, visiting shops and casting enchantments. And if that doesn't get you, I don't know what will. Inside the box, you've got a wonderfully, beautifully illustrated game, absolutely enchanting gameplay that will have you coming back to it time and time again. The mechanics of the game are worker placement and resource management. So you're going to be collecting renown, which is the object of the game, through a variety of different means, gathering goods, visiting shops, casting enchantments and recruiting artisan dragons and fancy dragons in order to help score those renown points for you. The gameplay is really smooth, the rules are really simple, there's a little bit of setup to the game, but it provides you a very, very smooth, fun gameplay. And then there's a lot of variability to the game as well, so in spite of it having quite simple rules, you have a lot of options, a lot of choice and a lot of variability. So there'll be different combinations in the way that the enchantments turn up, the fancy dragons and artisan dragons, for example, the different shops. You select the shops at the start of the game randomly from different piles, so you'll have a different selection of shops. It does give you a recommendation of how to do this, but it does say that once you've got to grips with the game, you can change that around and make up your own compositions, your own mixes of shops. And then you also have some extra modes as well, where you have your own sort of personal dragons, your buddies that you can add to it as well. With that, it's also packaged with quite a robust solo mode as well, so you can play the game by yourself if you would like to do so, if you're a fan of solo gaming like I am. The rulebook and the components are all really high quality. The rulebook itself is very well laid out. We've got fantastic examples of the setup, the gameplay, everything's well written and well displayed. And then the game pieces themselves are absolutely amazing. You know, there's a lot of care that has gone into these. All the cards have got a lovely, nice linen finish to them, all very clear. We've got these player aids for each player as well, which are really nice. It gives you a breakdown of your turns and a breakdown of all the symbology on the cards as well. And I love it when games do this, and more should do these. You've then got your resources, which are just these cardboard chips, which are good standards, you know, it's got sort of the industry standard we've come to expect. And then the game pieces themselves. Some people did get the Kickstarter edition, which brought out different types of game pieces, but I love these ones. I think they're really nice, they're really cute, quite whimsical really. And then for me, the pièce de résistance is the game mat itself. This lovely neoprene mat that comes in the standard edition as well. And again, very, very well laid out. You can see the areas for everything that you need on the board. So all in all, it's an enchanting game. It's an absolute joy to play, and I've loved every game that I have played of it so far. And I think it's a very versatile game as well. It's going to be one that's going to fit in for a lot of people. If you're someone that's just coming into board games, you're looking for that sort of next step up from your Ticket to Rides and Carcassonnes, and something like this is going to introduce you a bit further into some of those Euro game mechanics like worker placement and resource management. If you're a family just looking for a nice game to play on the next family games night, this is going to fit that as well. And if you're a hobby gamer like myself, looking for something that is still going to give you that satisfaction of having to work out sort of your action economy, then this is going to do that for you as well, without necessarily having all of the arduous setup and thick rule books that might come with some of the larger games. If you haven't played this game, I would recommend giving it a go. If you live locally here, come on down. This is in our library. If you don't, and you have a local game shop near you that stocks this, do go down and check it out. It is a wonderful, wonderful game. Perfect for all ages and just great fun all round. So there we have it. That is my choice for November. I look forward to seeing what everyone else does on here. And I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. We'll see you at the start of January.
Hi everyone, Allie here from the Family Meeple. Huge thanks to Ollie from Don't Be Bored for inviting me to hop in on his Best of the Month series here on his channel. This is the first time I'm joining, and I'm really excited to share with you my game of the month for November of 2022. So my game of the month for November was Verdant from Flat Out Games and AEG. Verdant is a drafting and spatial puzzle game where players will be selecting a card and a token from a display in the center of the table that features 8 cards and 4 tokens. Each of the 4 columns has a room card and a plant card, along with either a nurture token or an item token. On your turn, you're going to select one of the cards, either a room or a plant, and one of the tokens that's in that same column. Then you're going to either use the token that you've selected, or you can save it and use one from a previous turn. And then you will place the room or plant card into the display in front of you. You are working to build out a 3x5 grid of cards that ends up being a checkerboard pattern. So you will alternate a room with a plant card as you build out your space. To begin the game, you will have 1 plant and 1 room to start with, and then you'll build out from there. Over the course of the game, you'll build out all of your rooms and plants. Your goal is to place your cards so that the rooms and the plants match up. The plants are getting the light and the verdancy that you're looking for so that you can complete them, pot them, and earn extra points. You're also going to earn points for set collection by having different types of plants, different colors of rooms, and different items collected within those rooms. This is a really fun game. It's from the same designers as Cascadia and Calico, or I should say it's from the same company, Flat Out Games, as Cascadia and Calico. It is a different set of designers from those two. It does feel very much in the line of Cascadia. I haven't tried Calico, but if you are a fan of Cascadia and you're looking for another drafting and spatial puzzle game, I highly recommend checking out Verdant. Anyway, I'm Allie from the Family Meeple, and this was my pick of the month for November, Verdant. Have a great one.
Hi, it's Barb MeeplePhD, and my favorite play of November 2022 was Seventh Continent. My spouse and I love story-driven games. We have, done Sleeping God several times, and the campaign modes of Now or Never and Near and Far. This is one that I hadn't played and I'd been seeking out for a while. I'd missed out on the Kickstarters and it's been really hard to find. I picked it up earlier this year at a charity auction, and we finally got to play it. We set aside all of Thanksgiving Day to play it. Since we don't travel that day or see family, we look at it as a day to pull out some really big games and just play them all day and get as far as we can get. So this Thanksgiving we played Seventh Continent. Spoiler, I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to give you any spoilers about the scenario that we played. This was my first play of it. You are an adventurer who has visited the Seventh Continent and come back with some kind of curse. And there are different scenarios where it's different curses that you're trying to break, and you basically go back to the island, the continent, and are trying to break the curse. Throughout the game, you are managing your life force, which is this deck of cards. You use it to do skill checks in order to see if you're successful at things that you're trying to do. But there are also some skill checks where you don't need any skill, you're just basically wasting time. And once you get through this deck, then you're kind of in this danger zone where the game could end very quickly. So part of the game is trying to figure out how to do those skill checks more quickly with fewer cards to mitigate that, or to figure out ways to put cards back in the deck. And so, you're spending part of your time doing that while also trying to drive along the narrative and explore this board. We kind of likened it to a point and click video game, back in the day, which I loved. I loved exploring all the things, in a video game like that, which this had, elements of that where you want to explore everything that you possibly can. But in order to get to the end, you maybe can't do that because you have this limited life force. And so I really liked the balance of that. I enjoyed the narrative that's going on in this first scenario. And I'm looking forward to trying again and hopefully breaking that curse so that we can move on and see what other curses we've picked up from the Seventh Continent. Anyway, that's my pick for November 2022. I'm Meeple PhD. I everywhere on Instagram and Twitter, also on YouTube. I have my own channel where I connect astronomy and board games. We'll see you next month.
Hey there, it's Mark with The Thoughtful Gamer, and today I'm showing you all my favorite game I played in the last month. It is in fact a relatively old game from 2014, I believe, but it was recommended to me a while back, and I finally got around to playing it, and I like it quite a bit. And that game is Deus. This was advertised to me as doing what Wingspan does, but better. And in fact, I kind of agree with that. It shares the similar mechanism with Wingspan of having different categories of cards that you are going to be placing in your tableau in columns, although in Wingspan they're rows. And whenever you activate or place a card in that column, it triggers all of the effects of that column in order from bottom to top. What it has over Wingspan is essentially that it's more streamlined and straightforward. And in being so, it actually plays quicker. Now, Wingspan obviously gets the nod in terms of art and presentation and having a huge stack of completely unique cards. Deus isn't necessarily completely unique. I think maybe each card has 2 copies in the deck, but there's a good amount of variety. Another thing you get with Deus is a central board, and the central board dynamics are actually really interesting. But the way that the cards interact with each other and the way the mechanisms interact with each other creates a lot of interesting tactical decisions. It's a very much a tactical game, not as reliant on huge combos as Wingspan, or rather, maybe not as dramatic of combos. Or maybe you could argue that it relies on you finding 1 or 2 good things to trigger before the game ends. Whereas in Wingspan, you want to lay down, in my experience, a combo that you can pump over and over and over again until the game ends. This one is a little bit more modest. Some of the dynamics that I find particularly interesting are the fact that in order to get new buildings that allow you to play cards of one of the 5 categories, you actually have to discard cards of that category. So you're constantly cycling through new cards. It kind of reminds me of something like Race for the Galaxy in that effect. It's a really pleasantly fun game, even if it's rather unassuming looking, and I actually really recommend you seek it out for something that maybe doesn't have the flash of Wingspan, but might be a little bit more enjoyable in the end, in my opinion. Thanks for watching. Again, I'm Mark with The Thoughtful Gamer. You can see everything I do at thethoughtfulgamer.com. Shifting my plans a little bit going into 2023, trying to do fewer things, fewer articles, fewer videos, but ones that are deeper, longer, more well thought out. So I hope you all enjoy that. Check it out, thethoughtfulgamer.com. Thanks.
Hey buddies, welcome to Amass Games. My name is Simon. Today I'm bringing you my best of the month for November 2022. Now, like last month, it is a game I picked up at Spiel 2022 as well, and it's a game called Lorenzo Il Magnifico Big Box. Now, this game is BGG 100 ranked presently. It's been in that position for quite some time. Artwork by Clemens France, and it's a game that I very much enjoyed in the month of November in particular. So why is it so highly rated, and why do I like it so much in particular, to probably even be in my top 10 maybe for the year as well? Well, that is because it's an economic game. It is an engine building game if you want it to be. There are straight up victory points you can get. If you've played Grand Austria Hotel or watched my video relating to that as well, you might see some similarities. It's the same artist. It's also some of the same designers. Some of the designers have done Barrage as well. I do have other games by them too, such as Agecia, which is a good combination of designers. It does involve dice placement, but only 3 dice compared to the luck, unfortunate luck, you do get in Grand Austria Hotel. Now it does have this big box variety as well, which does add in 5 expansions, promos, other different things as well. I have very much enjoyed that too. It actually improves the game significantly. The advanced standard game, in addition to the base game, actually advances the game even more. Yes, it's a bit more to explain, but it actually makes the game a lot more smoother to play. Aside from that, it isn't a long game either. It's 75 minutes typically. There is a brain burn going on though. You're constantly thinking, what can I do? But typically of the 20 or so action spaces in this kind of worker placement-y kind of game as well, you simply cannot do all of them. You're probably doing 3 at most, and that's because you need to have resources. You're always going to be shy by probably 1 resource for multiple things as well. Very enjoyable, like I said though. Game's going to be pretty close. And all the expansions I haven't actually fully fleshed all out. It isn't soloable though, it's a 2 to 4 player game, but with the expansion it's 2 to 5. It's by Crania Creations in Italy. Very much like I said, found it very interesting and immersive. Others have found it very interesting too. There isn't any luck in it. In fact, all the cards are going to come out for certain. You might over time start to know about more what could come up and obviously react to that too. I have sleeved my copy as well, not that you have to. and you can get inserts for it too, but for the big box edition I don't know if that's really possible just because of the amount of stuff. It's a huge amount of stuff. It's about 3 kilograms in weight. It is very over the top. If you're interested, please let me know in the comments as well. YouTube is best. Aside from that, please share as well. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell and the subscribe button to be notified of more daily content. Daily content about 5 years now. Also on Instagram, over 2,700 posts now, so please head through to the description to check that out as well. And again, there are occasionally competitions via Linktree. Aside from that, please head over to Facebook. You can speak there. And yeah, there's an art gallery I've created a playlist for Clemens France as well as my How to Set Up Play and Review. Any other questions, please let me know. But for now, I'm going to say, it's time to say, back to the table for this Lorenzo Il Magnifico Medici.
Hi, I'm Libby, this is Julian. We are Boxed Meeples and we are here on YouTube, but also on Twitter, Instagram and Hive, if you'd like to follow us on those platforms too. Today we are talking about the favourite game that we played in this month, which is just coming up to a finish now in November.
Well, the game we played throughout the whole year, really, not just in November, was Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. And the reason I'm talking about it this month is because we have finally finished it after meeting with a group of friends for, I think it was 18 sessions, but we played 19 rounds. We reached a conclusion. A very exciting finale was reached. So I thought now's the ideal time to kind of talk about it. So for those who don't know, obviously Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion is almost an introductory version of Gloomhaven. It's a similar mechanics, most of the main core game mechanics distilled into a shorter campaign. So over the course of the 19 rounds that we played, each lasts around 3 hours, some are a bit shorter. So I think we probably got in between 50 and 60 hours playing this game, which is a really good investment when you think about the price of this. Now, should you play this if you've not played Gloomhaven? Yes, you absolutely should. This is the place you should start if you want maybe a prelude to Frosthaven, which is actually why we wanted to play it.
Yeah, I'd already backed Frosthaven. I had a few friends that had Gloomhaven and were planning on playing together and things, so I thought, oh, if I've already got Frosthaven coming, should I really get Gloomhaven when a lot of friends have it? So then we thought, well, we'd settle on this one, and it does such a great job of easing you into the mechanics, teaching you it sort of step by step, so once you're a few games in, you've got everything that you need, and it's just glided you in there.
Yeah, I think if you played all of big box Gloomhaven, the chunky bad boy, you're not going to get as much from this. But that being said, the two people we played with have played a lot of Gloomhaven and they still really enjoyed it. And I think a lot of the reasons we did enjoy it so much is because we had such a great dynamic going with the other two people that we played with. We knew one of them really, really well before we started, and we hadn't met his friend. But by the end of it, we were all having a fantastic time. And it became almost the highlight of the week, getting to have a bit of campaign Gloomhaven in on a Thursday night. Now, I chose the best character. I don't think there's much debate about it. Who doesn't love Hatchet? There's always people, it seems, online singing the praises of Hatchet, saying he's the best Gloomhaven character ever. Obviously, I have no frame of reference, but he certainly seemed like the best one in our selection of 4.
I think part of the reason why we enjoyed it so much is that we each leaned into our characters and were sort of champions in a way of them, or we're happy to slate them for the things that they weren't maybe so good at, and that leads to sort of a lot of laughs and giggles around the table as I'm talking about my explosive fists, because I was the demolisher, so I love a bit of fire and a bit of pyromanic.
Yes, and so Tootin, as he was called, Tootin Hatchet, he's good from a distance at chucking his axes. But yeah, there's in any campaign game, you always talk about those bizarre, obscure moments, like when we around almost hung on my ability to chuck an axe at someone, and axe chucking is what he's good at. So when I managed to draw a card that meant that my axe throwing ability was completely useless, I basically dropped my favourite axe on the floor. That's a memorable moment from our campaign. And obviously I can't say too much about the campaign because I really think you should play this if you've ever been tempted to play Gloomhaven. Jaws of the Lion is something you should be playing, because people praise the Gloomhaven kind of engine and the method of playing as being a really streamlined, really just simple dungeon crawler. You're never foraging through rule books trying to work out a certain role, and that was certainly helped by the people who were playing with having known Gloomhaven so well.
And also there are some great watch it plays for each chapter as well, which were really helpful when we played prior to this campaign.
But it's just a fun experience, and having played for this, I'm more than excited about playing for Frosthaven. I think I'm ready for a full big box, although we are going to have to probably buy a new shelving unit to fit Frosthaven in.
Or, get an extension so that we can find space for the new shelving
Yeah, a whole
unit.
Frosthaven room would probably be required based on the size of that. So this was a great starting place for us, and I absolutely treasured the time we spent playing it. Almost to a point where I'm a bit sad it's finished. So that's been my game of the month, but also we've been playing since April, so it's been a highlight really of my board game playing year.
Yeah, and I'm very pleased to say that we're going to be continuing to play some of those campaign games, mixing them up with some of our sort of shelf of shame options and things like that as we go on that group. So we'll have our campaign Thursdays continuing, and we'll get a few more that are harder to table sometimes. So that will be fun.
Yeah, I'd really love to say what my highlights were, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But
I enjoyed you playing Hodor.
That did help. The voices, of course, were free and flowing, whether they were wanted or not.
Completely different genre.
Yeah,
in Hodor, but we just bring in all the characters.
I have a limited range of voices. Someone's going to be French at some point.
Yeah. My favourite also involved voices this month. My favourite game was Obsession, and it's one I've been really looking forward to and really intrigued by for a long time. I do love all that kind of Downton Abbey, Jane Austen, all that period drama stuff. I don't know which period we're saying it's most like, but I enjoyed it immensely. Enticing the Fairchilds to come over and play a game of lawn tennis. Again, we had great fun trying to put on posh accents.
To be honest, the accents for Obsession were a lot easier for us to do, being natively British anyway.
A lot easier,
but
yes. And yeah, it was great. I was the Cavendish family, and I was very well to do. And I enjoy the mechanisms of trying to work out, what rooms that you're going to get, when to use them, how to manage your gentry, when you're going to ditch the ones that aren't so good for you, which, there was quite a few. At one point, one of our friends we were playing with had about 8 negative points in those that get you a lot of money but maybe not much else prestige. So you have to sort of manage how you're going to filter out those people that are good when it works. And I think having played it once, I now sort of am thinking, I would have maybe have done that at that point in time instead, and how would I have sort of timed to do some of the different events and used people when I could have. There was a moment when we were allowed to use any of our gentry, no matter what level they were at, which was great, and I had a room where I could send them all to it, and then I realised I didn't have all the servants I needed at that point in time, which was quite limiting. So that sort of idea of planning ahead a few rounds to make sure you've got all your ducks in a line was great, and some of those extra servant abilities really mixed things up as the game moved on, which were allowing you to maybe use one type of servant as a different type, or one that was stealing points off of another player and things like that.
By spreading that gossip.
Spreading
vile
gossip.
That's what was great about Obsession is, and it's such a lovely production. I can see why people do talk about that, and just having just a little bit of flavour text on each card added so much. Normally I like the cards often being clearer and the flavour text being outside of the game, but just having that little lines made you suddenly feel immersed in the game and a lot more. And
we took our time playing it. I mean, obviously it was our first time playing it anyway, so it does tend to take a little bit longer, but we were sort of really interested in reading, oh yes, Miss Fairchild's coming to play lawn tennis. She's going to play with this terrible rogue who's a bit rich but has a reputation, and things like that just really added to the fun and the flavour, and really getting into the mood and the theme of the game. And as many of you that have watched us often know, that we do love really getting into a theme in a game and feeling like you're sort of in the situation that you're supposed to be in, no matter what that is.
I think it's just a shame we were playing it in our board game club, which is in a pub, so then we couldn't have theme music, which would have greatly enhanced the experience.
I mean, we could have stopped every round for
I
a
think we
little dance.
should. We should dressed up for the occasion. It's what the Fairchilds would have been most impressed with.
But all in all, we had a fantastic time, and I think that it's one that I wouldn't mind seeing on these shelves at some point.
Yeah, I've heard lots of great things about it, and it's really great to finally got to play it because it's been really hard to get.
It has, and it then came back into stock whilst we were away on holiday. I think I've seen a few back in stock in time for Christmas presents, so we'll see whether I manage to get treated by someone on a list.
And well, that about wraps us up. So we've all chosen what we enjoyed most, but what did you enjoy most? Let us know in the comment section below. And in the description box, there's going to be a link to all of the creators that you've seen today. So you can go and check out their channels and find out a little bit more about them, watch some of their content and stuff over sort of the holiday season. You know, we've all got that bit extra time off, hopefully, so a little bit more time to indulge in some other creators. Anyway, until next time, have a great month gaming.